All right, so it's the Delilah part A. See how many of these you can run through. First, I'll hit you with the do you condemn October 7th? Sure. Do you condemn the worse than October 7th behavior of Israel? Israel has done worse than October 7th, even before October 7th. And no, Israel is not justified in their conduct. Yes, it's criminal. We can go through all 45 talking points if need be. So, do you condemn the worse than October 7th state of Israel? If not, then I have to retract my own earlier condemnation of October 7th. If we have to condemn October 7th, then we have to condemn Israel even more so. And if Israel is defensible, then October 7th is even more defensible. Either way, Israel comes out looking worse, which it is. Then they'll hit you with Palestinians started it on October 7th. Without even going back to the 48 partition or the set 1917 Balfour Declaration, since I know Israel defenders hate history, let's just stay in 2023. By October 6th, there was already 200 Palestinians killed by Israel, and Israel took hostages first. In case anyone wants to talk hostages, Israel took hostages first. Israel detains Palestinians without charge, no reason given. These are hostages, and Israel tortures these hostages. So, even if we ignore the entire 20th century, the Israelis still started it. The Israelis started it, and the Palestinians responded on October 7th. What were the Palestinians supposed to do? They have tried peaceful means with Israel. Look at the 2018 March of Return. And Israel only understands violence. The Palestinians have a right to defend themselves. Were Palestinians just supposed to do nothing? Palestinians are just trying to get their hostages home. Even more so, if we look at the 20th century, do we see Israel is, in fact, the one who started it? The overall dynamic exists that Israelis are coming from all over the world and occupying Palestinians who are already here, already in Palestine. Palestinians are not coming from around the world to occupy Israelis. Palestinians are the locals and natives, the Israelis are the invaders and foreigners. Even if Israel can claim some connection to the land, even if Israelis can claim some connection to the land, Mexicans and most of Latin America can claim connection and blood and cultural bonds to Spain, and religion and language. Does that mean all Mexicans and Latin Americans are actually Spaniards and can and should go back to Spain? No. They are now Mexican or Cuban or Salvadoran or whatever. If being out of Spain for a few centuries and mixing with the locals makes you no longer a Spaniard, then being out of Israel for thousands of years makes you no longer Israeli. I'm sorry, you're Polish, Russian, American, or whatever. It means you, Benjamin Netanyahu, go back to Poland. No, Palestinians did not start it on October 7th. They responded on October 7th. 40 beheaded babies on October 7th. Fake, false, complete and total lie, never happened. Provide their names if it happened, and you can't because it didn't. It was a lie told by Israel to try and justify the actual killing of Palestinian babies. It was a libel. Call it the baby libel. Just like the classic blood libel. Accuse someone of being evil with fake stories to then justify doing actual real evil to them. This is exactly what Israel did and still does. And actually, Israel does worse than beheaded babies because babies under rubble don't die quickly. It's slow torture. You can see this when they dig a baby out of the rubble and its nails are full of dust and bent back and torn. It's trying to dig itself out, trying to live after being condemned to a slow death, slow torturous death by the criminal state of Israel. There were not any beheaded babies on October 7th. Not 40, not any. Total lie. Israel is full of liars. For behead babies in ovens on October 7th, another complete and total lie, like the 40 beheaded babies. Again, just a fake story to lie about Palestinians in order to try and justify committing atrocities against them. Ask anyone who spreads this lie for a victim's name if it really happened. They can't because it didn't happen. The closest example of something like this was done by Israelis long before October 7th. Ali Saad Dawabsheh. Ali Saad Dawabsheh was burned alive by Israeli settlers in the West Bank. So the savage baby burners are the Israelis, not Palestinians. Every accusation is a confession with Israel. Every accusation is a confession with Israel. There was no babies in ovens on October 7th. Total lie by Israel and Israel defenders. Um, Mass systematic rape on October 7th. Another debunked lie about October 7th. The people spreading this lie are the same liars who gave us the lie about the 40 beheaded babies and the lie about babies in ovens and many other lies. These liars claim to have seen things that verifiably did not happen, like the 40 beheaded babies lie. Ask them for a name of the 40 and they can't provide any because it was fake. But now suddenly we're supposed to believe them? Sorry, no. It's clear they are lying to try and libel the Palestinians and try and justify atrocity against the Palestinians. And the Israelis could prove this one too. If it was so mass and systemic, there would be victims and evidence. There would be victims and evidence even if the perpetrators tried to hide evidence. Even skilled serial killers fail to cover up their crimes and leave behind things like DNA evidence. And Israel has the teams and people to do this sort of work. They could have the individual names of the perpetrators if they wanted to. But there's no such names or evidence because it didn't happen. The only evidence is the word of verified and proven liars with an agenda of libel. There was no mass and systemic rape. Let's see. They made videos on October 7th. Israel defenders claim there's videos of all the atrocities they allege. Okay, provide them. Share the link. Like the 40 beheaded babies, they just repeat the lie without any evidence. And if you ask for evidence, they act offended that you asked. Like the 40 beheaded babies, if it's real, then provide a name. If the videos are real, then share the link. Simply repeating the lie won't make it true. There was no 40 babies or video of the 40 babies. Both the crime and the alleged video of the crime are fake. The only videos they make are of actual combat. The Palestinians make videos of fighters shooting a rocket at a tank or sniping a soldier, and other such instances of legitimate combat. The only people making videos of their crimes are the Israeli soldiers. Go online and search Israeli soldiers' social media war crimes. See what comes up. Another instance where every accusation is a confession with Israel. Number 7, October 7th was an evil terror attack. Well, Israel never clarified how over half the dead were military. And yes, they are legitimate targets anytime, any place. If we can accept Israel striking militants on and off the battlefield, then Israeli militants can themselves be struck on and off the battlefield. So over half the dead were military to begin with. So right there, it's a military, not a civilian attack. Israel also never clarified how a bunch of Israelis were killed by the Israeli military itself during the Hannibal Directive, which is official Israeli state policy to kill Israelis instead of letting them become hostages. Israel has done it before October 7th, during October 7th, and after October 7th, because 2,000-pound bombs are not how you get hostages out of a hostage situation. That's how you kill everyone, captor and captive. Israel also never clarified how most or all the horror stories they told about October 7th turned out to be fake, like the 40 beheaded babies. Furthermore, we have to classify some of the dead as just collateral damage. Israelis are always telling us that dead Palestinians are simply collateral damage and their death is not a war crime or evil. Okay, apply the principle. There was combat on October 7th and many died in crossfire as collateral damage, not as an evil war crime. So right out the gate, half the dead were military and a minority were civilians killed by Palestinians on October 7th. Then we have to factor in Hannibal Directive, which means only a small minority were killed by Palestinians. This is an impressive ratio for urban combat. An attack where most of the dead were military and only a small minority were innocent civilians does not qualify as an evil terror attack. Plus, all the horror stories turned out to be fake. So, no, October 7th was not an evil terror attack. It was a military operation. Let's see. October 7th was so evil we can't play by the rules. Number 8. No, it wasn't. Most of the dead were military. There was no 40 beheaded babies. Most or all the horror stories turned out to be fake. But B, okay, you Nazi. That's what they said. Nazi Germany said Soviet Russia is so evil that we can't play by the rules. Russia doesn't play by the rules, so we can't play by the rules. If this is your argument, okay, you Nazi. Israelis are Nazis if this is what they're going to deploy. C. If you're going to lower yourself to the level of evil people, you're evil too. If you claim to be above others, you have to act above others. 9. Someone said they're going to do October 7th over and over and over again. Okay, so there was no 40 beheaded babies, there was no babies in ovens, no mass rape. It's a lie from the same liars that gave us the other two lies. Most or all the horror stories turned out to be fake. Most the dead were military, not civilians. Then you have to factor all the ones Israel killed themselves. So only a minority were civilians. An impressive ratio for urban combat. October 7th was not an evil attack on civilians. It was a military operation. So what's the problem? The only ones who have done October 7th over and over and over again in a bad way is Israel. Israel is the one who has killed numbers of people equivalent to multiple October 7ths. And Israel is the one beheading babies with their bombs. And Israel is the only ones burning babies with their incendiary firebombs. Basically, every accusation is a confession with Israel. Got another one. All right, number 10. There was a, quote, ceasefire before October 7th. Complete, total, bold-faced, ignorant lie. There was already 200 Palestinians killed by Israel within a year of October 6th, plus many more taken as hostage by Israel. That's right, Israel took hostages first. Israel takes Palestinians and detains them without charge or reason. That's hostages. So there was no ceasefire. That's not a ceasefire. So Israel started. There was no ceasefire on October 6th. October 7th was the response to Israeli aggression, not some random start on an innocent, poor Israel. All right, that one's next, but I'm going to break this one up into parts.